Hello.
Hello, how are you?
Fine.
Yep, that's all right. Have you had any thoughts on sort of more of what you'd like to work on
Yeah.
after the fact?
I
Yeah.
wanted to discuss, especially the matter about uh, consistency in topping events, because
Okay.
if you see the tops of the big events, you can almost always see the same names. Maybe not in top 8,
Yeah.
but in higher rankings. And
Mhm.
I want to know especially how they manage that when there is the lag factor involved. Like,
Mhm.
how do you minimize the risk of breaking and all that? Or how do you manage to play well from behind? Because if you break and you um, sort of get a window to play again, how do you get into the game? How do you get back into the game when you are so far behind?
Okay. So, are you asking for more like scenarios, essentially?
Mm-hmm.
Like specific scenarios or just general stuff?
Yeah. I
Um,
mean, I think
yeah.
that I want to discuss this on more of a general perspective
Yeah.
because I
Okay.
can't think about anything really right now because I guess
Mm.
for example I'm playing Gardevoid and let's say that I can't get Ralts on board until
Mhm.
turn 3 on my turn
Mhm.
3 going first for example versus Dragapult,
Mhm.
and he gets to fully set up before I can do anything.
Mm.
And sometimes I know that I can still win. I can still Candigardi into Clefairy and win, but
Mhm.
it's hard to manage those terrible scenarios, and sometimes it feels like you are losing because you are not getting the cards rather than you losing because you are doing something wrong.
Yeah, I see. I guess the main thing in terms of that is so to answer your first question about why players are so consistent, the answer to that really it's nothing special. Like there's no secret sauce. There's no like
Yeah, I guess this.
yeah. It's just playing a lot, playing a list that's very well thought out, um, card choices that all make sense, and then having played all the matchups as well. So like in terms of that as well, in terms of building the list with that, I think something that a lot of players focus on a bit too much is adding cards. When like if you were to sit in a call, for example, with like Isaiah Bradner, Henry Brand, Henry Chow, etc.
Yeah.
A lot of the times what they'll be talking about is trying to discuss which cards they can remove from the deck. Like a lot of the time it's about, okay, what cards can we skim on? What cards do I actually want to play? Like you can see this with Prince Guardiolus, for example, when he cut the Mew EX, right?
Yes.
Like, Mew EX is a good card. Like there's no denying that. It is good against Dragapult. But it's that recognition of this card is good, but I don't need it, right?
Okay.
Like all I need to do is set up two monkey dory. So instead, I will set up a third monkey dory, right? Does that make sense?
Yeah, so the thing is mostly perfecting your builds in to face the expected matchups and
Yeah.
not go overkill but go into a more stable list to say per se.
Yeah.
Like you have your game plan and maybe it's not the strongest game plan that you can get, but it's the safest and the one that you are going to see most of the times and that you should still win going that route.
I mean, you'll see, I think, in terms of strong game plan as well, like you say that a deck with like Gardevoir, like you don't get rolled Gen 3 pretty consistently. But then, like the reason why they still play the deck when that happens is because Gardevoir plays from behind very well.
Mm-hmm.
Um, in those games, like what you start doing is sort of instead of reflecting on the game, like could I have, I would have won if I got a Ralts on turn two. When you hear most of them talk about the game, it's a lot of like, okay, my best play was to do this in this scenario, so I will do this. And it's instead of like an example would be if it's an aggressive matchup, it's like, okay, I didn't get Ralts on turn three, so I will bench Clefairy and attach to it to threaten an attack the next turn. That way
Mm-hmm.
I force my opponent to decide between KOing Ralts or KOing Clefairy.
Okay.
Or like another scenario is I need to buy time in this game, so I will catch a Noctowl and Budu and hope that it works for a couple turns.
Mm-hmm.
And then like at the end of the game it's thinking like, okay, how do I force my opponent to have as many cards as possible? I catch a something, I scream tail around it, I don't take a knockout,
Yeah. So
and then
it's
I set up for
like
the win later.
adapt your game plan into the bad situation to make it the the
Yeah.
less worse you can. Or
Yeah. And Gardevoir, the reason why you'll see so many of these players constantly play things like Gardevoir or Dragapult over like Joltik Box, for example, is because when you play Joltik Box, if you miss
mm-hmm.
the turn one jolting charge,
Yep.
you kind of just lose, right?
Mm-hmm.
Whereas like when you play Gardevoir, you miss rolls on turn one, it's like, okay, I've essentially lost a turn, but I can buy back a turn later in the game through catch up or screen tail, or through using mind bend, or through like by doing something, right?
Yes. So also the think about breaking consistency and still getting through the game also depends a lot on your deck choice.
Mm.
Like
Like,
not every deck can come back from a large deficit.
mhm. Yeah, that's exactly it. Like, for example, if you play Raging Bolt
Mm-hmm.
and your opponent takes the first two prize cards,
Yeah, you are done most
you
of the
you
time.
kind of just lose, right?
Yeah. Okay.
But yeah, so that's the that scenario then. But
So the thing is just to randomize your deck well enough, play
yeah.
play your routes until you can and you get established. Even if you
Mhm,
are into a slow start, think about the lines that you can go to recover and
mhm,
sequence well to manage your your recurses.
mhm. Yeah.
Okay.
Essentially it comes down to um it just comes down to like a massive knowledge of the game, like through a lot of games played.
Mm-hmm.
And when they play the games, it's all about like reflection, right? It's about
Yeah.
after a loss, it's like, are there decisions I could have made to improve my outcome?
Okay.
And like if you'll see players like that lose as well, a lot of the times, they won't be thinking about like, oh, okay, I missed Gardevoir EX for two turns. It's like, oh no, I had Psychic Embrace wrong on turn three, which compounded into making it tougher for me on turn four, for example.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So
So instead of thinking that you've done it perfectly, have autocritic and said I could done this
yeah,
better and I'll have it in mind for the next game.
yeah. And it's like a lot of these players as well, they'll think this way after both a win and a loss.
Mm-hmm.
Like the game is about it's just a pile of decisions, then eventually someone wins. And you can win a game and not play perfectly.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah, of course.
Yeah. So yeah, there's a lot of things to think about when it comes to that. The main thing is just being very reflective when you play, thinking about thinking about all of your choices, thinking about like what could I do that maximize my chance.
Mm-hmm. And also, I
Yeah.
think a good point also is to have the mindset that you are not going to win every game and just not tilt if you break a game and keep playing the best of three to your full capacities.
Yeah, why would you tilt if you broke a game? Like you couldn't do anything.
Yeah, you know, there's a lot of
Yeah.
type of players that you see them break wrong one and they throw the whole tournament because of that. But I think that's also a point that separates good players of bad players.
Yeah, like you could lose one round due to bad luck, but like you're trying to make it two. And like another thing to think about is like you take it one round at a time in a tournament. Like when you sit down and play a match, that is another round. Then
Yeah.
once you're done, you sit down, you play another match, that is another round. So like for a lot of these players, that's just what you do, right?
Yes.
You just play a whole bunch of games of Pokemon, and then at some point you get a number at the end.
Yeah. Also, I see a lot of people commenting about luck being so influential in Pokemon games. Do you think that's true, or is that those players not recognizing every option they really have?
I mean, I think luck is important for sure. Like luck is important when it comes to winning a tournament, but like um everyone gets lucky and everyone gets unlucky. That's the thing. Like for every game you get double donked, an opponent will get double donked, right?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah, I mean, you're not going to lose 9 rounds of Swiss because of bad luck.
no. Like, if you go 4-3 run, there's probably something you could have done better.
Okay. And I think that's everything for this
Yeah.
topic.
Yeah,
I don't know if there's
that's right.
something you want to add about the lag management and all that.
Um, like in terms of luck management, really it's about recognizing like large sample sizes. Like when you play an individual game of Pokemon, everyone will get unlucky and lucky at the same time. Like an example is if you play Raging Bolt for a game, you might miss Fan Rotom, but then have a great top deck. Like, did you get lucky or unlucky? Like, the answer is it's a game with variance, and
Yeah, like
you know,
maybe you get lucky on your first turn and hit everything you need, but on your third turn you miss a key piece and you
yeah,
don't get your full goal on that third turn, and then on the
mhm,
fourth turn you get lucky again with a top deck or anything, and you get to play again.
yeah, like it's all about it's all about like managing your own decisions, managing playing very well. When
Yes.
like luck is a factor, but I think it's just something out of your control, so you can't focus on it.
Okay. And also you can, maybe not in the first turn of the game, but in the later turns of the game, you can sort of manipulate your luck by using your resources efficiently on the previous turn.
Yeah,
Like,
and like
for example, you are
players,
playing a
sorry.
puffin deck, and you are not going to use those puffin anymore. Just use them to burn them and don't get them back into the deck with an Iono, for example.
Yeah, that is one example. But then in terms of luck, like here's an example. Let's say you're playing Gardevoir and your Joltik opponent's up 4 prize cards, but they don't have Latias down. So if you go like Gust up the Pheasantipity, Screen Tail around it, and then set up to win in 3 turns, and you play Ino and your opponent bricks off it, yes, you got lucky, but also you gave yourself an opportunity to get lucky.
Hmm, makes sense.
Yeah. Like to
Yeah.
win a tournament, you have to get lucky. Like, no doubt about it. But a lot of the time, it's about taking advantage of getting lucky when you get it and giving yourself the opportunity to get lucky as well.
I've never thought of it that way, but it makes
Yeah.
total sense.
yeah, like making a comeback like that, you have to get, for example, like in terms of taking risks, there are a lot of time when you'll see really good players taking massive risks. Like
Mhm.
an example is like they need to hit Candy Guardy and they play Iono instead of research. Like, why would you do that? You have to hit Candy Guardy. But the reason is because if you play research, you probably lose anyway because your opponent gets to keep their 10 card hand, right?
Mhm.
So it's all about going like, well, if I do this, I don't think I can win, so I have to take a risk to try to win. And it's essentially like finding a sequence of events that results in them winning, and then trying to find the most likely sequence of events.
Okay, makes total sense.
Yeah, and like the worse the game gets, the more and more outlandish the sequence of events has to be.
Mhm. Okay, I understand.
Mhm. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes completely sense. Like you
Mhm.
say that and you make it sound so easy, but it's something that I wasn't really thinking before.
Yeah, it's not so easy though, is it?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, this is something that you realize over a long, long period of time.
Mhm.
So yeah, very, very important to think about. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
Yeah. Okay. So I also have a question about what you would like to do today.
I mean, we could do some of the sequencing exercise or something like that.
Yeah, sure. So with the sequencing itself, I was thinking instead of like a specific exercise, because a lot of those are like kind of
I don't
hard
know
to create.
because I've
I thought
seen
of
all
sorry.
those puzzles on Twitter, like on win
Yeah.
in one turn, win in two turns.
Oh,
But
like stuff like that.
yeah,
Yeah.
but I don't.
In terms of
Yeah, sorry.
sorry. In terms of sequencing itself, the reason why I asked you about the Raging Bolt and Turbo Moon last format
Mm-hmm.
is because both of those decks are really sequencing heavy.
Yeah.
Like the game plan is pretty easy, right? You take two prize cards every time. But in terms of actually getting there, it's like you'll get presented with a hand and you can play like four cards, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I thought it would be a good idea to reflect on that and think about what the best order is, because playing decks like that really will sort of put it into perspective what the best one is, right?
Okay, we can play a couple of games with those decks and check from there.
Yeah, that's all right. I'm happy to play a a Turbo Moon Mirror,
Okay.
something
I
like that.
think that live is on man. It's down right now.
Oh, it's down.
I think so.
Wait,
It was
wait,
like
for real?
half an hour ago.
Oh, I have to update it. Oh, I guess they're adding destined rivals. That makes sense. We could always use a simulator.
Yeah.
Do you know what the simulator is?
I've played on Masters and Twin Leaf before.
Okay. What I would the simulator I use the most actually is PvP tabletop.
Uh,
So
okay. Oh, okay.
so I will warn you, this one is not it doesn't feel the best, but have you ever used Limitless Simulator before?
No.
Okay, so this was made by Robin. So
It's like um, I don't know if you play other card games, but do you know Dueling Book from Yu-Gi-Oh? In which you
um
make every action rather than it to be automatic.
yeah. This is that.
Okay,
So can
perfect.
you see my screen?
Yeah.
Yeah, so like I just imported the second place world stack. So
Okay. Can
I got press
you?
set up.
Okay.
Yeah, I've sent you the link. So um, so the advantage of this as well is that it's two player. So
Also, shall we play mirror or just comment the sequencing of the first turns while you are
I'm
setting?
happy to do just the sequencing on the first turns.
Okay, sounds fine for me.
Yeah. But I think the most important thing with sequencing is to like have an idea of what you want. Because like, there's a theoretical there is like a perfect sequencing to see the most cards, but then it depends like what card do you actually want to see.
Yes. Okay. So we can create an fictional scenario per se, like we are going second versus a single pricer deck or versus another big basics, and just go from there
Sorry?
and decide. Oh, I
Yeah.
mean that if we are playing the sequencing on a first turn, we can decide if, for example, our goal is to get a KO versus a single price versus a big basic, um,
Oh
and all
yeah.
that because I guess the sequencing will depend on which deck we are playing against.
Yeah. And how many resources you can throw away as well. You can dig a lot, but the reason why I thought of this deck specifically is just because, it's got trekking shoes, Pokegear, Pokestop, Greninja, Squawkabilly, so like a lot of ways to individually draw cards. So are you able to share your screen? Or are you happy for me to control it?
You can control it if it's fine for me.
That's all right. Actually, in this case, I might just use them in this tabletop.
Okay.
This one is just single player, but okay. This sounds bad. Okay. All right, so we drop a 10.
Yeah.
A
Okay.
little bit different now.
I think that I mean I have two angles that I would like to go here.
Mhm.
That would be first. I have two options in mind that are
Yeah,
going
what, sorry?
Nesball into Greninja
Yeah.
or Squawkabilly, one of those. But I think that Greninja is the correct play, and then use Ultra Ball into, depending on the matchup, another Roaring Moon or Baby Moon, because we want
So
to utilize the Dark Pads and not
mhm.
discard them.
I guess my question would be then,
I think the play is to go Nesball into Squawkabilly, then Ultra Ball away the two Dark Energy into either a Baby Moon or a Roaring X, use double
okay,
Dark Pads, and then use the Squawkabilly.
okay. Yeah, that is actually the play I agree with. So why Squawkabilly over Greninja?
Because I think that if we go Squawkabilly, if we go Greninja, we have if we go Greninja here, we have to get rid of. Um, I mean, we are going to get rid of bosses orders, even though we go Squawkabilly, but I think that we need to see more cards. And going
Yeah.
into Greninja doesn't ensure us that we are going to get either Greninja or another play. So depending on the matchup, I will go into either of the moons, just do Squawkabilly and use it effect.
Mhm. Yeah, Squawkabilly makes the most sense, I think. Because like Greninja, we can hold the Ultra Ball, but if we get Greninja and we hit nothing with the concealed cards,
Yeah, we are.
we resign ourselves to dumping the two Dark Patch.
That's it.
Yeah.
Like
Whereas we did prize Greninja.
we could Ultra Ball and get rid of an energy and the boss order to utilize Greninja, but we are not getting anywhere with that.
Yeah.
We are just making
Okay.
ourselves to need more luck. To
Hmm.
So here I
Yeah,
think
exactly.
that before we use the trekking shoes, uh,
Yeah.
it will be nice to use both netball because we actually want to hit energy to discard it.
Hmm.
So I think
Yeah,
that
what do we yeah, we want energy from the trekking shoes, right?
yeah, I think that Greninja's price, so we need Pecharunt and I will get Pecharunt and Baby Moon here.
Yeah. I think I would consider getting first for what it's worth, but maybe more is fine. Because our worst case scenario is like we can patch the moon active, retreat into baby moon, and then start up, right?
Yeah.
So right.
So here I will use the trekking shoes, discard the judge, or do we keep it?
We can play the judge, and then if we draw an energy, we can patch into the big moon and take the knockout.
Oh yeah, yeah. Then we'll keep it. So
Yeah. I mean, I think it depends on the scenario. If there's a one prize active with, like, if there's an opposing Greninja active, I don't
yeah.
know, we can't KO Greninja with Moon, so it probably is just Judge.
Okay, we got the energy. So
Yeah,
in
so then we just
case,
patch.
yeah, we just patch and attach from hand.
Hmm.
And I will stop it here. We don't have the need to use Ultra Ball. No, it will be bad to discard the. I mean, both cards we have are nice. Maybe if we
Hmm.
get Asada, for example, next turn, we can think about it. But for now, I will just attack and take the two prices. No need to overstand here.
We Yeah, we also want to save the Ultra Ball for Dark Energy in case we draw it.
Yeah, I will just attack and take the two prices.
Alright, let's try that again. Okay, this hand is very different.
Yeah.
What do we want to do here?
Okay, I think here I want to find more ways, more items to find our Pokemons and also the Sadas. So I will
Mhm.
Nest Ball first.
You want to find more
Uh,
ways to find Pokemon?
yeah, uh, like not the Pokemon itself, but I think that I need ways to find more Pokemons like Nest Balls and Ultra Balls. So I want to
So
get. Sorry?
I'm just a little bit confused. I'm just thinking like, what are we using first?
I think that Nest Balls will be the first play to get into Squawk if we have it on the deck, or a Roaring Moon if we don't have it in the deck.
Okay. Um, so what would we be using after Nestball?
I think that the next will be the Pokestop, then the Trekking Shoes, and lastly Greninja.
So if you remember what we spoke about last week with making a decision,
Mm-hmm.
like with trekking shoes, you have to make a decision, right?
Yeah.
So typically you want to use trekking shoes last. However, I guess then we go into the next concept, which is you don't want to build on a hand that you're going to discard.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, like, if we're going to Squawkabilly this hand, I
That
arguably just wouldn't even use concealed cards or Pokestop.
that's what I meant. Like you use Nest Ball, you play the Pokestop, and then use Squawkabilly, and then
Okay.
first you Trekking Shoes, then you Squawkabilly, and then you
Yeah.
first Pokestop, and if you have the ability to use Greninja, then you use Greninja.
Yeah. But I
That
guess related, how come we don't use trekking shoes before we use Nest Ball?
because I want to get from the Trekking Shoes, I want to get maybe I want to get another item to get into my Pokemon
Mhm.
before I discard my hand. so I get more items, more chance to get the items or trainers that I need.
Um,
So
I,
I mean, if I want to get Pokemons out of the deck, it will be best to use Trekking Suit first because I'll have one more Pokemon in deck. But if my goal is to find an Ultra Ball, which I guess is not because I'm going to Pokestop anyways, so yeah, I guess Trekking Suit is fine.
yeah, I'm thinking because typically with trekking shoes, it would be great to find Squawkabilly, right?
Mhm. Yeah.
So
Oh.
there you go.
Bunnies.
All right, so
The first action.
now we can nest ball for Rogue Moon.
Yeah.
I mean, it
Then.
depends. We could nest ball for Pepperoni, but I think we're probably nest balling for Rogue Moon.
Mhm. Then I will
And then I
play.
guess,
What?
yeah.
I
And then
think
if we're just gonna commit, sorry,
I think that here I can just attach into the roaring before using
yeah,
the squawk. So attach into roaring, play Pokestop, Squawkabilly, and then play from there. Like, or
yeah,
not
that's
not
what I was gonna
activating.
ask. Because
Sorry.
yeah, not activating the Poké Stop. I'm
Yeah.
just thinking about attaching because that is. I think with the Greninja not being used, it makes sense to attach since we have an onboard way to just discard an energy. Outspoken things.
Mhm.
Okay, lots of things to do. So
I mean, here I think I will nest ball the first
mhm,
because I want to hit items from both Pokestop and Greninja and play from there.
mhm.
And I will get the. I think that I want to get Pecharum rather than another moon because I mean I'm going to have the energies for the Sada, but I don't want to burn the Prime Catcher on the first turn. So I think probably the
Yeah, I
play
guess.
is to Nesball into Pecharum.
Yeah. I guess from my perspective, it just depends on how important it is to Prime Catcher. Like, how bad is it for us to knock out our opponent's active Pokemon? And that's where the dichotomy cuts out. Because if we're happy with playing Prime Catcher, then I think we almost nest ball for a second Roaring Moon to
Yeah,
try to side off the
I mean,
two.
in case we have, for example, we are playing versus Gardevoir and they only have one Ralts on the bench, in that case, yeah, I'm committing into the Prime Catcher.
Well, I'm going to be honest, even against Gardevoir in this format, I don't even think you do that because they can always just go Evo. That's the thing. So, like, the fact that one world isn't that big of a deal. I'm more meaning, like, against Reggie Drago, if they have one Drago down, we kind of just want to KO it, right?
Okay.
Yeah. But, like Gardevoir in the old format, they just go
Yeah,
up and Puff and Evo 2 Curlier down, and then it's just
yeah,
like,
yeah,
oh, okay, well, I've got Prime Catcher. So, I do think ideally we want both Moon and Pecharon,
yeah.
but
Yeah, I
I
think
think
maybe then we should get Greninja first if we want to see both.
I think it ultimately comes down. I would almost be inclined to like Pokestop before using Nest Ball, just to see in case we get the second Nest Ball.
Yeah,
But
but I think that
actually, no, I think that's wrong as
yeah,
well.
because you have more
Sorry.
chances to mill also those cards. So I think that the place to Greninja first, see what we
Yeah.
get, and decide what we do with Nesball and the stadium.
Okay. Ultra Reversal. I mean, it's pretty
Okay,
good.
yeah, that's pretty good. I will Nesball to get the Roaring Moon.
Hmm.
I would um, Betzel away the the other Pokestop maybe because I think this it's the card that we are going to need the least this turn because if we weave Sada out of one Pokegear we will need to use the second one.
Um,
And we
I'm
also
thinking,
get the follow-up for the next turn. In case we hit Sada with the first Pokegear, we still keep Pokegear
yeah.
in the deck.
I guess it also depends on how important it is to have the second Pokestop. Because, the attack does discard the stadium,
Yeah,
but
I know,
in terms
but
of pure thinning Vessel away Pokestop, Ultra Ball to Energy is the best play.
mhm.
So, yeah.
I think that's
I
what
think
I will do.
if we want to go all in on hitting Sada, then that's okay.
And then
Okay,
use the Pokegears first,
yeah.
and then the Pokestop.
I think there is definitely argument to using the Pokestop first.
I mean, you have a lot of items in the deck, but
Yeah,
I I'm kinda worried about milling the Sadas, to
yeah.
be honest.
I mean, in hitting it this turn, I do think Pokestop first is best because we can hit items to thin the deck
Mhm.
for our gears. However, I think for the future, we don't really want to mill starters. I think I agree with you. Like,
Yeah, but this turn you
however,
have less chances about
yeah,
milling Sada than next turn, for example.
yeah. However, I will also say, if we had Pal Pattern deck, it's a different story.
Yeah.
Our gear.
Okay, we get Sada. Now we can.
Do we
Uh,
gear again?
Let me see the discard. I don't think we gear again because we can get hit with an Iono next turn, and
Yeah.
especially if we take two prices this turn. And I would rather have the Sada on my deck and try to shuffle the Pokegear with a Nest Ball, for example, if we get it,
Okay, that
and
makes
not
sense.
play greedy here.
Yeah. Okay.
Now,
Do we stop or choose first?
I think that I could Pokestop first and leave the option of the Trekking Shoes open.
Yeah. Like our best case scenario is we don't play Trekking Shoes, right?
We keep it
But
as follow up for the next turn.
yeah. Worst case we just play it and try to get Dark Patch. So
Okay, we got the Dark Patch, so we use it,
bang,
and now we have to
bang.
decide if we Pecharunt of Prime Catcher depending on the situation.
Yeah, I mean we have no way of knowing with our imaginary opponents.
Yeah, but I mean we have both options open, so it's just
Yeah.
it just depends.
Alright, I guess what I'd like to talk about now, like you say,
Mm-hmm.
what do we do now?
I think here we bring Greninja because we still have Pecharunt.
Do we want to commit to having to poison the moon?
I mean, we need to use the Sada. I mean, Sada is also an active, but
Yeah, you can start the active
yeah, yeah.
Pokemon. So
I'm sorry. I have a brain fart there. I was
that's
thinking.
okay. That's
I
okay.
was thinking about the. I was thinking about the Dark Patch. Okay, yeah, we can commit into that, and here, okay, we can just bench the moon, the baby moon,
Hmm.
and go into a Sada for two.
Yeah. The only thing is we might want to stop first just to use a shuffle card.
Yeah, because we have the Prime Catcher at the bottom.
Mhm.
So yeah, we can Pokegear. We know that we are not going to mirror last Sada because it's on the bottom of the deck.
Yeah.
And the same with the other Pokegear and the and the catcher. So well, catcher we will get a coup.
Okay.
Okay,
I mean,
that's
Vessel's pretty good.
yeah, that's pretty good.
So in terms of Vessel, like I said, this always comes down to our priorities. Like, how important is it to catch her on this turn?
I mean, also, how many energies do we have left in the deck? We have
Two.
two. Yeah. Also, it's I think it's important here to decide if which moon is a better attacker in this situation. because I think that once we decide that, we can also argue more into using the vessel or not to power up the attack in case we need it.
Yeah. I agree. I think that as well, like if we're up against Raging Bull TX, um we could just like discard the Baby Roaring Moon.
Yeah,
Because
like
Baby Moon is just a terrible attacker against
of
bolts.
course,
So
if we are thinking about playing into big basics, we'll just vessel away the Roaring Moon and keep both Pokemon catchers up.
happy to just go for this play.
You would rather do that than discard,
I mean, like I'd rather hold the catches up, I guess.
but
If we're against a one prize deck, we do this.
okay. Like in the
Yeah.
case we are playing versus Bolt, we could just
Oh
Erden
yeah,
Vessel the Moon. Is what I was thinking.
yeah. Against bolts.
Vessel the Moon.
Yeah.
Also, we had another Sudden Hand instead of the
Oh,
patch.
whoops. Yeah, you
Yeah,
are correct.
the patch was in top of the deck.
No, patch was from the Pokestop.
Oh, it was from the stop. Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
And now I think that before we use Sada, we should use Greninja. Once
Well, we've
we.
already used Shadow. But
Yeah. But I mean, we got the energy from the vessel, so I think that we should have used the Greninja first,
oh, okay. Uh,
in case we
in
can get
case we hit
another
the
tag.
Moon EX.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and
Okay.
try to set up another one. Like we don't have a bad hand to play into the moon on the next turn because we can trek in sus now and check if we get it. We can use Dark Patch, attack from hand into the active, and Sada next turn again. But I
Yeah.
think that Greninja was the correct play before Sada.
Yeah. No, I actually agree with you. I think that
Yeah,
it's a
like
bit of an
it
oversight.
was chaos here because uh, like it was a misunderstanding. So
Yeah.
yeah,
But
but I think that
I think
the
that
turn was correct.
yeah, I think that as well. I'm not sure if we should use the dark patch this. I guess it depends on how likely our opponent is to go Gust plus Iron. Um, because most of the reason is Petron's a good attacker next turn. Big Moon is a good attacker, but if we frenzied gouging this turn, we don't want to have to frenzied gouging again and go to a tiebreaker game.
Yeah,
So that's probably Ninja. Nest Ball's big, so then we Trekking Shoes. Okay. Nest
here
Ball. What are we getting off this Nest Ball?
we can get Fez to get
Yeah,
some kind of resistance versus next turn. I don't know.
patch this attach.
Yeah.
Do we play Dark Patch?
I think that, as you said, we can leave it open because Pecharund also, if we are into a big basic matchup, will one hit KO next turn. So maybe
Um,
leaving it open, either for Roaring Moon or Pecharund. But I don't know if we are down. Can I check the graveyard, the discard?
we're
Uh,
down one Dark Patch. I honestly like using it on the Petulant. This is mostly to create split targets, right?
yeah, to make them decide what is
Yeah.
the
So
thing they need to take down.
like I'll show you an example. Let's say you take two prizes.
Mm-hmm.
This has 200 damage on it.
Yep.
Our opponent goes Catcher Iono, right? Bump the
Mm-hmm.
stadium. And then all of a sudden we might be forced to make a tiebreaker game, right?
Yeah.
Whereas if we Dark Patch onto the Petulant, now what they catch if they catch this, all we need is Dark Energy.
Mm-hmm.
If they catch this, then we flip the script and we can hit Dark Patch Sada, Dark Energy. So I think obviously they have to catch the Petulant now, but then that means we get to keep
Yeah, it's
Pheasantipity
like you are leaving
instead of their idea.
the most option open
Yeah.
for the next turn.
So this does happen. Let me draw this. We probably want to Ultra Ball, but we also want to save the energy. And we don't want to conceal cards because we need to attach, so we flip the script.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Okay,
And
and
just do this.
yeah, and it should be game by that point.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, this deck isn't the most complicated in terms of its game plan, but it is very, very sequencing heavy,
Yeah,
which is why I thought it would be good. Um, all right.
yeah.
So,
I
would you like
think
to try this again?
yeah, I think this is important because this
Yeah.
will minimize all the games that will be like I think I lost because of bad luck, but was actually about bad sequencing.
Yeah.
Because
Like a lot of people,
if I played
you,
like I said last turn, I could get a Yono into countercatcher like you said, and then
yeah.
I would say, okay, I didn't find the answer, I had bad luck. But if I played like you
Mhm.
said, I could prevent all that. Like I
Yeah.
could minimize the risk.
Yeah. I mean, some people like to say making your own luck,
Yeah,
which I think is interesting.
yeah, of
Uh,
course.
yeah. So let's try that again.
Mhm.
Saber up against a two-pricer deck. Okay.
Okay, we are versus another two-pricer. Okay, we
This
have to
hand.
start Moon.
Mhm.
Withdraw.
Yeah. Okay. That's all. Okay.
Ooh, Vessel, I think made things quite different because now we have the choice again about Moon, about Squawkabilly or Greninja. So I think
Um.
the first thing here, I mean, I don't want to Pokegear first. That would be dumb. I think the first thing to do is Vessel because it's the thing that is guaranteed.
Yeah, we can always poke gear, right? Like, even if we're going to Squawkabilly, we can just like look at the top seven cards and decide not to anything.
Yeah, I
So,
will play that, discarding either the boss order or the Pokestop. I think the boss order is the safest play. We are playing into, we could
uh,
say, a mirror.
we could draw a power pad. That's the other reason,
Of course, yeah, yeah, that's open still. Then
right?
I would uh, Nesball and decide into which Pokemon I want to go because I don't know if Pokestopping first is worth it.
I want to just like toss in with Squawkabilly.
Yeah, I think that Squawk is a decent play, but I get rid of the dark patch that I might need. So here I don't know
Well,
if it's a Squawk or a Greninja angle.
I think the problem with Greninja is we Greninja for two, we Pokegear Fasada for three. There's a non-zero chance that we just have to Squawk it anyway. And it's a big ask for us to actually use the Dark Patch on this active moon because we have to go bench and then active again.
Okay.
Like, I'm almost thinking play stop, nest ball for Squawk, Squawk the entire hand, don't attach for turn.
Okay.
So then we can bench second moon, bench patch, Dark Patch attach starter, move the bench moon active, take the knockout.
Okay. Makes sense.
That's what I'm thinking because like I said, I don't want to build on a hand that we're likely to just end up squawking away anyway. So I think that I think that makes sense.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Um, okay, stop.
Then
We can always play the gear. There's nothing stopping us. I think I'm just happy to squawk and see.
yeah, I think it's better to just discard it. Okay, here
Yeah.
I think we hit the Pokestore before the Trekking Shoes
hmm
because we still
I agree
have
with that. We
the
could hit.
Palpa. Okay,
Do we papa?
I don't think we Palpat yet because we want to get into the Sada.
Do we vessel away Petron?
Mm, I think so.
hmm sense.
Also, the judge is in the grave.
Yeah. No.
Yeah, because
Oh, true.
yeah,
From Pokestop,
we
you're
don't
right.
draw
Yeah.
it.
Sorry.
And then
Um,
I think that I trekking.
Nestball. Do we take Nestball?
Mm, I think so. I think that netball lets us see.
Oh,
Oh, well, we should
I don't
know
know. Oh,
that there
Greninja
was
is
no
prized,
Greninja.
so we should have known it was prized.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, fair. I
All right. So
think that
we have,
we are cook.
yeah, we have runouts. We can always irritated outburst for 60,
Yeah. Uh,
but
I don't think that's a good play, especially since we discarded the other Pecharon.
yeah, I mean, our best play is probably,
Yeah, and just pass.
yeah, protect the throwing moon. I mean, in terms of what's going to happen in the future, we're just going to draw 3, starter for 3, take 2 prizes every turn.
Yeah.
And then what's happened? So draw. Okay, what do we do first now? Do we stop again or do we fizz?
I think we face first.
Okay.
And
I kind
decide
of like stopping here.
why though? Because we still have 4 Sadas on the deck.
Oh, well, we only have 3 because we priced 1. But
Oh, okay.
we do have Power Pad. So, like, we can stop for 3. Power Pad the starters back in. We can hit things like Nest Ball within the deck.
Okay. Okay, then
Okay.
here I think that I will draw before Pokegear to thin the deck.
Yeah, for sure.
Now
Now, is it Trekking Shoes or is it Pokegear first?
I think it's still a trekking shoes because I want to get the cards out of the deck before I get into the Sada.
Yeah, makes sense. And is there a scenario where you would Pokegear before you would Trekking Shoes?
Mm, I mean, if I had a dark patch in hand, I think it would not be necessary to go Sada this turn. Or if I have the, let's say I have the dark patch and I could attack with the baby moon and actually take a KO because I'm hitting for weakness or something like that.
Mhm.
I could see going into the Pokeyard first, but since
Yeah, you
we are in need
you
of
gear to
another Roaring
yeah.
X and a Sada, I think that I will Pokegear first, try to get the Sada out, and then try to get an S ball or an Ultra Ball from the Trekking Shoes.
Yeah, very interesting play. Because the 2 cards, while it does thin our deck, you know, we also thin our deck for the Trekking Shoes.
Yeah.
So important to think about these distinctions. Okay, I guess you said okay.
And then I will Trekking Shoes.
All right.
I'll keep the Trekking. I'll discard the Moon.
We just have to toss.
Yeah.
Damn.
I think we scoop. But yeah.
I don't know. This game's pretty winnable, I reckon. This game
I
is winnable for sure.
I
We
mean,
go knock out.
yeah,
Next turn we
we
go
can knock
Judge
out,
double dark dash,
but we
knock
have to
out.
knock out getting rid of the Pokestop, I think, because we are already 2 prices behind. And I
Sorry.
don't know.
It depends. Like if a Raging Bull PX is active, we probably can't. But like what I would do here is probably like have that double judge. Knock out. Boom. Draw.
And the baby is
Like
not
if we
KOing.
like if we just hit Kasha KO and Fez judge, maybe our opponent misses.
Yeah. Also, how many ancients do we have in the grave? Because the baby is not hitting for much.
Uh
We only have 5.
5. We have a 120. So we can KO a Mew EX with it, but not much else.
Yeah. I mean, we can play into that. I would draw with peasant first since Palpad is down.
Yeah, we played Papa for double judge. Okay. So we kind of need to hit judge here, and we
Wait,
can
wait, wait,
only
wait.
do it.
Do we
Sorry?
have? Oh, you were checking the graveyard. I thought that
Oh, sorry.
I thought we didn't have Sadas for a moment, and I panicked for a moment.
Oh. Yeah, like here, we probably have to Ultra Ball before we stop.
Yeah.
Oh, no, we thin the deck. We thin the deck. Yeah, okay, we have to hit shoes off this stop, and then shoes into judge.
And now, yeah, we stop. Yeah.
Okay, that would be variation for that game, but somehow no Sada towards the end. But still important to like still maximize your odds.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's like also important not to tunnel. Like when
Yeah.
I say tunnel, I mean like tunnel vision into a play
Yeah, and not looking
instead of
yourself into a play when you still have variants. Like, for example, in the trekking shoes, like it's the you still have an option when you play that.
yeah.
And
Or thinking like,
yeah,
okay, can I win if I play Sada this turn, or do I have to judge and disrupt my opponent's hand?
yeah, not committing into a single play when you have everything open and you still
Mhm.
have your supporter, your energy attachment, and everything unused.
Yeah.
And just commit when you see all your options.
Yeah. I mean, at its core, all of this is just going to come down to what wins me the game. Like all the decisions you make in Pokemon are just going to be getting yourself to the spot where you're winning the game.
Yeah.
And like, I know it sounds simple when I say that, but it's like every decision you make should be sort of like on the road to you winning the game. When it gets to the end, it becomes more obvious and you can go, okay, what sequence of events has to happen for me to win? And then you go, what sequence of events has to happen for my opponent to win? And you try to shut down as many of those as possible.
Okay.
And you think like in your head, you can go, okay, if I own my opponent to two and they have no draw support, what cards can I beat? And then you try to make a play that beats the widest range of cards that they can draw.
Okay.
And I guess like something else that I want to say is that I think a lot of the players that do really well have is or don't have is like there's no fear of losing, if that makes sense. Like I think a lot of players will avoid making plays because it gives them an opportunity to lose. Like an example is you put yourself in a spot where if you honor your opponent to two and they hit boss, you lose the game,
Yeah,
right?
but that's going to happen. I think that's a natural thing of the game.
Yeah.
You still
But
have
it's
to
like
do it
you
and
can,
play your outs.
yeah, like you can, put yourself in a spot where you don't lose to boss, but you just lose over two turns, right? So for players, it's like instead of thinking, oh, well, I cannot lose next turn, it's about, okay, how do I actually win this game? Like the thought is just all directed on how do I win instead of how do I not lose.
Okay.
And so it's like, sometimes, you can make a play that doesn't lose to boss, but that
But
play is
that
not good
doesn't
because that play
win you
means
the
you don't win.
game. Yeah.
Yeah. Like losing now and losing next turn are the same,
It's the same.
right?
Yeah.
I think like it's easy to say, but I think a lot of players they kind of struggle with like a play that makes them go, oh well, my opponent can KO my only guard EX, right?
Yes.
That's an example. And you put yourself in those scenarios a lot of the time where like if they have, I don't know, you ono them to four, and if they have Crispin, Vitality Band, Prime Catcher, they KO your only Gardevoir EX.
Yeah.
It's sort of about going like, well, if my opponent has that, you know what, they just deserve it more than I do. But that's not very likely. So
Okay.
yeah. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Yeah. I know we talked about a lot of conceptual things today and just a lot of sequencing stuff, but Do you have any questions before you head off?
I don't think so. Like, I just have to think about the things we've told today, like let it
Mm,
rest in my head and start practicing it in my games,
yeah,
and from there see if I have any question about this for the next session.
yeah, that's all right. Um, like it is a lot of practice for you to like instill a lot of these thoughts. And like
Mhm.
most players, don't develop them until like you've started playing for 10 years, for example.
Yeah.
The It's something that a lot of the time you have to get over is like, blaming luck, even though it's easy and sometimes you do lose to luck, that's not diminishing that.
Mhm.
But it's about going, okay, what could I have done even in games where you lost to luck?
Okay.
Yeah. And then like even in games where you did lose to luck, or even in games where you won, it's all about how could I have improved my odds? How could I have played better?
Mhm.
Things like that. Yeah. Do you have any other questions now?
Not for now.
Yeah. So that's all right.
Mhm.
Thanks very much for today, and I'll see you next time.
Thank you.
It's all right. Bye.
Bye.